Here is another question for the What Am I Learning or What I'm Learning series. And it came because I was listening to a podcast earlier today and had no idea I was even going to stumble upon this nugget that was given. But the reason why I wanted to do a live on it was because I remember for so long, and I still feel like sometimes I can, hi Kayla, how I can still get caught up in this question of what is my gifting and purpose? Because there's so many different things that we can choose from. Sometimes we really get hung up and paralyzed in deciding on something because we're so afraid of making the wrong decision. I spoke at an event yesterday where I use this analogy of being in an archery field, and I've described it in lives before, where you have a pack of arrows on your back. These arrows are like your talents and abilities. You're in an archery field, there's targets in front of you, and you can take aim at any possible one for what you want to do with your life, your purpose, your calling, whatever it is that you're questioning. Is this it? Maybe it's this, maybe it's that. I don't know what to decide. I like so many different things. So you're in this archery field, you've got your talents and abilities, and as your arrow, you pull back, you want to aim at the target. The target is your purpose, what you're really meant to do. But because there's so many different options, you don't ever fully release because you're afraid of making the wrong decision. I mentioned that in my talk yesterday, that fear is a paralyzer, because fear tells you, okay, well, if you get it wrong, you're going to waste time and years and energy and effort on the wrong thing, especially if it doesn't turn out to be what you thought it would be. Then, well, you could have spent time really pursuing your true purpose if you had just waited to go after the things you wanted to get clarity, to get confirmation, whatever. But you can end up, like I have done for a really long time, not really fully releasing what I was called and meant to do because I was just afraid of making the wrong decision. So when I was listening to this podcast earlier called The Success Line, Rory Vaden hosts this podcast, and he interviews different people and just basically live coaches them. I was actually on the podcast, I don't know, it's been like a month or two back now, but the episode I listened to is episode 22, and he spoke with a gentleman who had a book related to a topic. He had a book that would reach one audience, but then he had a passion project that was reaching a completely different audience. And so Rory was coaching him on choosing something. And the nugget he really dropped here that spoke the most to me was that we spend so much time thinking and overthinking and worried and stressed about choosing the wrong path or being worried about picking the wrong thing, that we should spend more time finding something that's generally aligned with what we want to do and making it right. I posted it in my stories, and I don't have the exact verbiage in front of me. I wish I had written it down before I went live so I could repeat it exactly as he spoke it, but it's in my stories if you want to see the exact quote he said. But just to basically put it in a nutshell, he said, people spend far too much time worrying about choosing the right thing than they are about choosing the thing that's most aligned and making it right. It was something to that effect. And again, that spoke to my soul practically. I know that sounds dramatic, but it spoke to my soul because I can look back on how many years I spent overthinking and analyzing. Maybe I should do real estate. Maybe I should do speaking. Maybe I should focus on being an author. Maybe I should go into psychology. That's what my degree's in. Maybe I should, all these different possibilities. Coaching. I have lots of passion and interest. I love fashion. I want to have a fashion line, and I do plan to have a fashion line. But I spent so much time worrying about choosing the right thing that I haven't gone all in the way that I could be going all in because, I've worried about making the wrong decision or going down the wrong path. So anyway, like I said, this nugget that he dropped spoke to my soul and really gave me confirmation and freedom to decide, no, I'm going all in. And of course, when you are monetizing a side hustle, you may be working a full 9-to-5 that is financially providing for your side hustle. So it's not about like, oh, I'm, quitting your full-time job and doing things that way, but at least clarifying within yourself and knowing within yourself, okay, I'm going to choose this one thing and I'm going to go all in to the direction that I want to go, and whatever that looks like for you. You keep your 9-to-5 as long as you need to keep your 9-to-5. But then you also don't spend time never fully releasing your full talents and abilities because you're worried about making the wrong decision. So I don't know, I felt like I should go live and talk about this particular topic because it's worth noting, it's worth discussing, it's worth really reflecting and diving into, because I know I'm not the only one that has struggled with this topic of what is my true gifting, what is my true purpose. Chances are you have some sort of instinctual knowledge that you know you have certain desires and ability towards a certain field or job or industry, and rather than waste time trying to never make a mistake or never get it wrong or never choose the wrong path, you can take those steps to try it out, walk it out, see what it feels like, see what it looks like, see what the actual experience is. There's nothing tying you to that forever to where you can't change your mind or go in a different direction at some point. Sometimes we have to give ourselves the freedom to make mistakes. This is another thing I talked about in my talk yesterday, was giving yourself the freedom to fail, and then you deciding what failure has to look like, because fear would tell you that failure is the end of you, that it's the mark on your resume, it's the mark on your reputation, that failure is the end of you, it is, the thing you'll never come back from. Fear is an incredible storyteller. It's going to tell you what failure has to look like. But you're in charge of your own life. You decide what failure looks like for you. Maybe failure actually is the thing that helps you go into the right direction because you found out that the thing you were going after wasn't really what you wanted in the end. Maybe that failure is something that you use as fuel to move forward. Maybe failure is what brought you to the place you're in right now because something else didn't work, and now what you really want is what's unfolding in front of you. Or maybe failure invigorated or renewed your mindset and your energy to say, no, I don't care how many failures I have, I am going after this thing. I don't care if I failed at it 1 time, 5 times, 10 times. I shared in the talk I did yesterday that the brand or the product WD-40 is named WD-40 because it took 40 tries to get the formula right. If the creator of that had decided, okay, 10th formula, this is so much work, forget it. They wouldn't have been the founder of this massively used product. They just decided, no, I'm going to do it until I get it right. I don't care if it's 10 times, 40 times, 80 times. And apparently for them, it was 40 times before they got it right. So maybe failure for you is that energy and that determination that you are going to use to create the thing that you want to create, or move into the industry you want to move into, or create the product you want to create the nonprofit, whatever it is for you. Failure can be used as fuel. It doesn't have to be this ugly, horrible, scary thing that fear will tell you that it has to look like. It can look like whatever you determine it to be. You're in charge of your life. You have the pen in your hand, and although you can't always control outside things that are going on, you can control your mindset, your attitude, how you perceive things, your self-talk, and you can control what the story has to look like for you. So I'm just going to end that on that note. Let that be your motivation for Friday to go into the weekend to pursue that business you want to pursue with that sort of a mindset.